What's going on, everybody out there? You know what time it is. It's that time of the week where the Sports Lounge gives you all your sports media that you need that is around, which whether if it be NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL. But today we're going to be talking about football. And we got a special guest today. Super excited, and we're going to introduce him in a minute. But before that, we're going to get to our sponsors. Our sponsors are Cali Bell Graphics. You can get all your graphics, such as these shirts, hats, apparel, signs, banners, whatever you need. Go to Cali Bell Graphic and make sure that you tap in and let them know that the Sports Lounge sent you. Number two is Sports Lounge, the number one sports fan. Sorry about that. Number one sports fans, which is located in Hanford, Visalia, and Tulare. Let them know that the Sports Lounge sent you. And yeah, go get your favorite memorabilia. It is season time right now. It's everything's going on right now. You got NBA that just started up with the preseason. You got your MLB that's in playoffs, and of course you got NFL going on right now, which I'm super excited to talk about with our special guest. Last but not least, you got your Black and P Living Water. Visit them at www.blackandp.com to be hydrated with Black and P Living Water, and type in the Sports Lounge. Type in the Sports Lounge to get 35% off right now to be hydrated with the Black and P Living Water. Super excited about that. But let's jump into it. We got our special guest all the way from the East Coast, repping the Dallas Cowboys. Been repping them probably since birth. He's from the
How
Cowboys
about them
cast.
boys?
He's from the Cowboy cast. He also from East and West football. Your very own Javier. What's going on, Javier?
Hey, nothing much, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for you guys having me on. I know this time difference is pretty crazy, so you guys are on pretty early. I'm a little bit later, so I got more time than you guys. You guys are probably rushing, but no, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me on, and I'm excited, man. It's been a crazy NFL season so far, so thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're excited about having you on and us talking football. We've been following you for a minute now, and there's a question mark right there. But yeah, let's recap of week one. What games, guys, standed out to you guys? What's a good game that highlighted for you guys that was like a shocker, or maybe a game that you thought. I mean, right now it seems like the NFL is so unpredictable and doesn't make no sense at all. I mean, we're seeing Joe Flacco play off the couch. We've seen Jaden Daniels, who's a rookie, who's playing phenomenal. I mean, the list goes on, right? So, what is a game to you guys that stuck out this week? Let's start with Javi.
Um, I mean, there's a couple of them, but if I had to pick one, uh, I think the biggest one that stood out for me was, and probably everybody's gonna probably be like, yeah, whatever. It's the Buccaneers and Falcons. And the reason I say that is because if you're telling me that these two quarterbacks, the way they battled on that Thursday night, are for things to come later on in the season. Remember, this is only week 5. So if you're telling me they're playing like this and they continue to play like that, the NFC South, man, other than obviously the Panthers, there's going to be some trouble for some of these teams that thought they might have had that normal, win in the schedule. I don't think so, man. If you're going to play the Falcons or the Buccaneers, that's not an easy win from here on out, I believe. So those teams are only going to get better. But for them to battle out the way they did it on Thursday Night Football, the way they did, the way Kirk Cousins threw for 500 yards, that's pretty crazy, man. That stood out for me going forward.
Yeah, you want to jump in there, Mark?
I'm actually the big thing. The way the Cousins played in that game with 509 yards in the overtime, it just shows it's like Kirk. I want to say this: the regular season Kirk Cousins is back. The injury is not affecting him. That's my personal opinion. You know,
Kirko Chains.
and,
Kirko!
and now my big thing is the big game that stood up to me honestly was the Niners Cardinals game. You
Oh,
know,
that's going on, yeah.
and the reason being, it's because it showed the weaknesses of the Niners, not because of the way that what Arizona did. It showed basically like, look, we can start our strong. I mean, I was just in Vegas with Mikey, and I sit there and I told him, I said, hey, he kept saying, no, dude, Niners are going to win. I said, no, Niners are going to win first half. I said, but they're not going to win.
I never said Niners are going to win.
Stop lying. You were picking the Niners to win on the parlay. Stop lying.
No, I was not. That was Dupree. I put my hand on the Bible. That was not me.
No, I did not even pick them. I was with Mark when he made that bet actually that morning.
I said Cardinals play spoiler. I say Cardinals always play spoiler, and they play spoiler best in their division. I've always said that.
Oh, that's true. Okay, yeah, you did. Okay, but still, I just say, the way that Arizona came back, and the fact being that obviously the Niners they forgot to show up the second half. They thought they were only playing 30 minutes of football. So that was a big one for me, personally.
Okay.
We can't say. Long story short is we cannot say that the Niners are going to run away with that division right now. Not with the way they're playing. Too many injuries. Too many issues.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're also seeing if can Brock Purdy play against adversity. I mean, they're not going to have CMC. He's looking to try to come back to that in that Kansas City game, but there's something bigger happening with him that I think it's career ending. I mean, he has Achilles tendonitis on both of his legs, and that's from carrying both teams, the Carolina Panthers and the 49ers. And that's what happens when you run them down. You run those running backs down. And so for that, I think there's something bigger going on behind the scenes. I don't see him coming back this season. And we'll see what happens for his career. But I think trying to see who is Brock Purdy and if he can run this type of offense, West Coast offense under Kyle Shanahan is going to be very interesting down the stretch. Now their schedule gets harder, it doesn't get better. Like it doesn't get easier. So they still got to play the big teams. And it's and again, I'm gonna go with Mark. I don't even see them really at this point right now in time. And then you got Debo running hybrid now again, which Debo is injury prone every single year that he's played, right? When he's playing hybrid or not. And so going down the stretch, you don't got Ayuk. You only target him 3 times. This last game they targeted him a little bit more, but you only got Juwan Jennings and you got George Kittle that you're focusing on. This is gonna be interesting down the stretch. I got Seahawks winning that division, but we'll see. They had a tough loss against the Giants this last week, so we'll see how they bounce back. We're gonna see them this Thursday actually battle it out, San Francisco and Seattle. So that's interesting. What you got, Dupree on what game stood out to you?
But me, is the Browns and the Commanders. We were saying a lot were saying that the Browns were going to be the one to show them that they could get beat, but Jaden again showed that he still knows how to play right now in this NFL offense. Even though he's a rookie, he's still showing he knows NFL better than most rookies right now. The work that came out of his class, he's showing out on all of them.
I'm going to ask this question to you, Javi. You're a football guy. Who should have been the number 1 pick, Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels?
So if you watch East West football or even the Cowboys, that we talked about this, right? And I had a lot of people laugh at me because I said Jaden Daniels was the better quarterback.
Hey guys, what have I said since day one?
And everybody told me there's no way. I said, look, I get it, but looking at the whole landscape and the way Caleb Williams carries himself, because that speaks a part of it. I don't care what anybody says. To me, I think Jaden Daniels played that whole part, the whole total concept. I think he fit everything that you wanted, right? He doesn't have no personal issues. He's not a diva, all those things. He just takes care of business, brings his lunch bill, and that's what he does. And he's shown it every week in college football. I think he was a number 1 pick. My number 2 was Bo Nix, and everybody laughed at me because he was older. But I said, if you put Bo Nix, those two, either one, in a good system with a good coach, they're going to succeed in the NFL from the beginning. So that was my take on it in the beginning of actually before the draft.
And both with the Broncos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing good too. These last 2 games, they've kind of surprised people because they beat the Raiders, and I forgot who they played last. But 34-18 on the Raiders is even crazier when it's the Broncos because they have nobody down there before and they still came out on top.
They beat the Jets before that 9-10.
Yeah.
But yeah, talking about the Browns and the Commanders, he did. I think the Browns are now ranked. You guys got to correct me if this, but I think they're ranked overall 18 now. Or I think that's correct. You got to fact check me, but I think they're ranked
Okay.
number 18 in defense. And like Javi, we were talking earlier, he asked me if you think that Deshaun Watson quit, and I was like, yeah, he quit that game. I don't know if he quit in general, but I think he quit that game, and that worries me about the Browns. Doesn't worry me next week. I hope he does quit it next week because we got them next week, Philadelphia Eagles. But
No, I think I'm gonna say this. I got no problem saying it. Deshaun Watson, he has quit on the Cleveland Browns. It's not about last week. He has quit. He does not care what type of trouble he gets into. He doesn't care. It's like, I'm paid. I'm cool. Forget y'all. I don't really care.
Right.
For the way he literally had, when he walked off the field, and forcing them to take a second timeout or a delay of game because he couldn't figure out what it's like. You're not the coach, bro. That you have a coordinator that's calling the call for you. Well, just run it. Run the freaking play. Stop. He's being a diva also. And I'm personally, I don't. I see Deshaun Watson seriously as he's turning into what Jamarcus Russell did for the Raiders. It's just a lot of off-field issues, and it got brought on the field, and he just got to the point where he didn't care. The only thing is Deshaun Watson's been in the league now for 5-6 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is his mentality like, I'm going to go ahead and dip out and I'm going to suck as bad as I can because I don't want to be in Cleveland anymore? I mean, what's your guys' thought on that?
Yeah. And it looks like it because all these scandals he still has going on with these allegations. It's like he's trying to play just to not worry about those things, but he can't let him play at all because he's been messing up.
I think to me, a lot has to do with off the field stuff too. The guy's still. I don't care what you are. You're a human being, and if things like that are still happening, you're gonna think about those things, and it's gonna bleed into your career. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
And second, I think when he was with Houston in that offense, I don't think he was asked as much as being asked now that he's in Cleveland. I think they're asking him to read the whole field, and I don't think Deshaun Watson can do that. I don't think he was able to do it in Houston, and the reason he was successful is because it was laid out for him. I didn't think he'd have to read the whole field. And now that he's in Cleveland and he's asked of these things to maybe change plays on the line and read the defense and, go to his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reads, checkdowns, whatever, I think you combine all those things and sooner or later, man, that bottle's going to pop. And I think it happened last week. On that play, he just walked out the field. I think that was the tipping point for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would personally, I'd be like, what is it going to cost me to cut this dude?
Too much.
That's my personal opinion. What else you got, Mikey? I mean,
yeah. So going back to that Commander game, it did show that Jaden Daniels can command a offense. I'm not sold on a one year quarterback, first year. But he has he has a great coach in Quinn, and he has he's doing way better than Caleb is doing with all the weapons that Caleb has. You would think that there would be more losses, more to develop, but it seems like he's one of those true NFL quarterbacks that can come in and play, and he's shown that with nobody, and so with that game, it's a very interesting game, but there's plenty more games that are coming up. I think that they got the Ravens next, I think.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
At Baltimore.
Yeah, at Baltimore. So we'll see who shows up in that game. If they beat them, then we're gonna have a different conversation. But the game that stuck out to me real quick was the Texans versus the Bills. That was a preview of the AFC playoff picture to see what was going on there. Texans put up 14 points, I believe. Yeah, it was 14-3 in the first quarter. Then all of a sudden, they come back. Bills come back. With the 14 points in the third quarter, both of them, shooting field goals whatsoever, whatever. But it just showed that. And then of course the kicker, he kicked the 59-yard field goal to win the game. But it just showed what type of player CJ Stroud was. Ready for exactly the task. And it also showed me what kind of player Josh Allen was as well. We're used to the Josh Allen who has multiple weapons, and he's the one that pulls off those tough games at the end. But now that he doesn't have those weapons, I'm kind of thinking to myself, can he carry this whole team on his back? Because he can carry him through probably a half of the season. But what happens when we get into playoffs and it matters? What Josh Allen is going to show up in that game. But Texans have a great coach, right? They got a good defense. Obviously, they got weapons on the offensive side, and they got 3 running backs that are extremely well. And it just showed CJ Stroud doesn't have to do much. He just doesn't have to make mistakes. Javi, you're shaking your head. What's up?
Uh-oh.
That at the end of the day, man, that was the Bills game to be won, and it all falls on Sean McDermott, man. He at the end of that game, he cost, as a football player, you do everything you got to do. And then for your coach to make all the bad decisions of the last 3 plays, all they had to do was run the ball, man.
Yep.
Run the ball and kick it, and it would have gone into overtime. But that falls on Sean McDermott. And to me, at the end of the day, you're an NFL head coach. If you don't understand those things, I mean, Sean McDermott has too much experience to make mistakes like that, especially at the end of the game. So at the end of the day, I think the players did everything they could to win that game. I think it fell on Sean McDermott's shoulders at the end, in my opinion.
Cool. Yo, we got our second question. Second question is this. Let's talk about a little bit of we got Javi on. We got the Javi on today, so let's talk a little bit about the NFC East. There's a lot to talk about in the NFC East. You got Dallas Cowboys pulling off that win at the end. You got the Philadelphia Eagles trying to figure it out. Is it a head coach and Jalen Hurts situation? What's going on with that? Is it a coaching issue or is it a Jalen issue? What is it? Because he didn't have regardless if he didn't have the 2 weapons, he could have ran the ball more or whatever the case may be. Like, what is it? Is it, Nick Sirianni, again, tugging and not letting Kellen Moore do his thing. And then you got Washington, who's hot right now, and, you got your rookie quarterback taking off, doing his thing. And then obviously you got the Giants who just pulled off a pretty big win. I would say it was a horrible loss by the Seahawks. I don't know if it was a big Giant win. I think it was more of a horrible loss on the Seahawks part. But let's talk NFC East, guys. What is your thoughts on everything I just said? Anybody can jump in.
Again, I'm gonna go real quick on this one. With the way Washington plays, if you get to the halfway point and the Eagles are not at least 2 games above 500, I think that Sirianni gets fired. Just because the expectations that they have. I'm like, you have, Robert Saleh just became a free agent head coach, and he's going to get paid no matter what from the Jets. So, you can bring in something, take one of your the coordinators you have, make him the interim head coach, and bring in Salem as a coordinator. Because you can't bring him in as a head coach right off the bat. You got to keep, in house. But if you're, to me, Philadelphia is not doing what is needed to be done, but they also cannot keep healthy. Dallas wise, it's Dallas. Dak is seriously, he's not showing he's a $70 million quarterback. And Washington, I've been saying it since day one. Jaden Daniels was a legit number one pick. He's doing it with really no weapons. And who cares about the Giants? That's my thought on the East.
Hey, you know what's interesting, Javi, is that the fact that the NFC East division, there hasn't been a back-to-back division winner. That's what's interesting.
Yep.
So it's like, like, what's going on, man? What's going on?
That's just the way it goes, man. I mean, so this is my take on the NFC East, right? I think in the beginning of the season, everybody thought it was going to be Dallas or Eagles, and that's it. Nobody else. But now as we're playing ball and we're looking at all these teams, right? And I will tell you, if you look at now what we have in Jaden Daniels and that offense and that defense from the Commanders, looking forward, if you look at their schedule compared to everybody else, if they don't win this division, it's on nobody else but them, because this schedule is very easy for them.
Very
easy schedule. So a lot's going to be said about them going forward because they should win the division. But with the Eagles, I'll go with the Eagles because I think the Commanders should win the division. Given how they're playing, if they continue their schedule, they should win the division. Now, going to the Eagles, right? This is my opinion on the Eagles. I don't know very much about the Eagles, just what I read. But I said this a year ago. I said, whenever they lose those coordinators, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinators, I'm telling everybody right now, they are not going to be the same team. I don't care what anybody says. You couldn't have had better coordinators that were in sync, right? That called plays in rhythm for their team any better, in my opinion, consistently. Now, obviously, you'll have some bad games, but week in and week out, I don't know what it was. They were just rhythm. They knew how to get their quarterback in rhythm, their defense. They were just great coordinators, right? Everybody said, no, you're wrong. But look what happens. That's why it's important to have a good coordinator that can get your quarterback in rhythm. That's what it comes down to, right? So to me, I think that situation has to be resolved. And I think when those coordinators were there, they took on a lot of responsibilities and took care of the game planning. And Sirianni kind of was like, yeah, hey, I want you to do this. All right, cool. But now that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, the new coordinators, Sirianni's flipping out. But is he a leader that can lead them to win games with their coordinators? Or is there going to be a clash between all of them? Because that's what it kind of feels like right now, in my opinion. Right? Because I think he threw Kellen Moore under the bus too, if I'm not mistaken. So that tells you that they're not in sync. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but they need to get it together. And it's same for the Cowboys. If you look at the Cowboys, man, we've lost Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Brandon Cooks. We just lost the rookie Nealand. Now we're down all those players, and we didn't play our rookie cornerback for 2 weeks. And for me, the Cowboys, in my opinion, is what team's going to show up. I don't know. I wish I could tell you that, but I don't know which team's going to show up. And the other thing is, Sunday night, Dak, everybody praises Dak, and I got it. Dak's a good quarterback. I say good, not great. But for you to throw that many interceptions and we won the game and everybody's happy, at the end of the day, he put that team in that situation. So I do give him praise for winning the game, but just remember that you put yourself in that situation. With the Cowboys, I have no idea what's going to happen. They have a gauntlet of a schedule coming up. We got Detroit, we got a bye, we got the Niners, we got the Falcons, we got the Texans, and I believe we got the Eagles after that. That's a gauntlet of a schedule. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if Micah Parsons is not going to play until after the bye week. We could end up, if you think about it, the next 5 games, we could probably end up 4 and maybe 6. I don't know. That could be a reality. Right. So if you think about it, the schedule that Eagles and the Cowboys have, it's there for the Commanders. Now, the Giants is a different story. I will tell you, they are going to win some games that they're not supposed to, but They, in my opinion, they just need a quarterback. And I think that was known. If you saw, was it Hard Knocks off season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they
You
gave up
saw
Saquon, yeah.
that just tells you that everybody in that room, except for him, was confident in Daniel Jones.
That's
And
crazy.
he was kind of iffy about it. He's like, should we go get a quarterback? In my opinion, I would have gone after Jaden Daniels, but I don't think the Commanders would have gave him up. But so that's the landscape of the NFC East. The Commanders to win.
So real quick, I want to hop in on what you just said. So you said that you don't think Washington would have gave him up.
No.
Giants had the opportunity to sit there and move up in the draft.
I don't think the Commanders would have.
I mean, because Chicago had number 1 pick.
Yeah.
So what you do is you basically break the bank to go after a legit quarterback. The problem is they have too much money invested in Daniel Jones. So they're basically saying, look, we have to go ahead and build around this crappy freaking quarterback that we have and start from there. Most people started quarterback. Well, they thought Daniel Jones was the answer. Obviously, if anybody actually pays attention to college football, you would have watched him in college. He was horrible in college too. So I think they're just trying to figure out how to build around with what they have is why they didn't go after a quarterback. And because they're like, look, the quarterback class in the next couple of years, I mean, because let's be honest, the Giants probably looking at a top 5 pick. You know how many quarterbacks are coming out of college this year that are going to be, I can say that 50%. I'm predicting realistically, you're going to see 50% of the top 12.
That's a good amount.
5 or 6 quarterbacks in the first round of this year's draft. So even if you have a number 7 pick, you'll still be able to get a quarterback. Because a lot of people are going to be focusing, a lot of defensive players. And so those quarterbacks are ranked higher than what they really should be. But unless if you're trying to get a legitimate number 1 QB, you'll be able to get them down into the low to the mid pack. But I think because the Raiders need a quarterback. We know that for a fact.
Yeah.
The Giants need a quarterback. I mean, you'd mentioned Bo Nix. I'm not sold on Bo Nix yet. I think he was a great quarterback in Oregon. And I think the problem with Bo Nix is the system that he has. I think it's the system. I don't think he's set up for that system.
So I think Bo Nix being with Sean Payton makes him better. But I think if he goes to another system, but I said I think he's a number 2 quarterback if he goes to the right system. And I think he went to the perfect system, in my opinion.
So
Yeah, I can agree with that with the development and everything else. I agree with that.
We'll see that online.
And we're not getting that development these days anyways with these first rounders. They're pretty much putting them out there and see what they could do. Seen it with Bryce Young. We've seen it over and over and over again. I mean, the only top quarterback right now is Penix Jr., who's sitting behind Kirk Cousins, which is the greatest thing that you can ever do is sit behind, a great quarterback in Kirk Cousins and learn from him and grow from him and watch what Atlanta does, after Kirk Cousins is done. Let me jump in on that Philadelphia Eagle, coordinators. We talked about it last year. I wasn't sold on the coordinators either. I knew that it wasn't a good idea with the coordinators. I will say that I wasn't at that particular time saying it was a Nick Sirianni thing. I was mostly looking at our coordinators and just what they were. A lot of their decision making, with the quarterback sneak on like 3rd down and 9. Like, why would you quarterback sneak it? Like, just some things that I was just really like looking at, and I'm like, I don't think I would have called that play. And then you guys seen the fallout. Everybody's seen the fallout, after 10-1. But this year, so compared to the year that they had the Super Bowl run. So Kellen Moore is now up to 60% more of motion than he is, pocket passing. So that was a development thing that, Jalen Hurts was more successful on the motion when there is a, a wide receiver or running back in motion. So that makes them more successful. Defensively, in the start of our season, we look way better than we did last year defensively. And then we flopped the game. And then trying to figure that whole piece out. It's going to be a long season. I'm more excited than I was last year about the Philadelphia Eagles, but I am not sold, yet as well. So, yeah, you could play with that however it is. But at the same time, Nick Sirianni keeps going to the press conferences and blaming himself, and it's kind of like, how many more times are you going to go to these press conferences and just blame yourself and not make those adjustments that are needed for yourself? If it's on you, fix you. You know what I'm saying? Like, fix what you
Right.
are missing up on. Like, take self. If you're taking self responsibility right now, this is 3 weeks in a row you said the same exact thing. Then go back to the drawing board and say, look, I don't need to. What I need to do is I just need to be a leader and trust in my OC and trust in my DC, trust in the system and everything else, and just quit putting your 2 cents in and let them play football. What we got going on in Dallas? Oh man, what we got going on in Dallas? We got a lot going on in Dallas, right, fellas? We got a lot going on in Dallas, and it's always been a Jerry Jones thing for me since the beginning. I think he's like one of those, like Al Davis type dudes, and did nothing. I was really disappointed. I know. Okay, so I'm an Eagle fan, but I'm also a realist, and I love football. And I was actually disappointed in the Dallas Cowboys in the offseason. They didn't do nothing in the offseason, didn't do nothing in the draft, did do none in free agency. And to me, I'm just like, I just want it to be competitive though. I want the NFC East to be competitive though. And so I was a little disappointed in that. No running back, nothing like that. And then you got your defense, you got who's out right now? Is that Bland that's out right now?
Nealand, Lawrence,
Yeah.
and Parsons.
So who are the corners? You got Diggs, right? Trip,
Carlson's out.
and isn't Bland back there?
Oh, Bland's out too. Yeah, boy, he's been out for all the way till week 6, I think, next week.
Okay. So I mean, you're struggling there too, and then there was a big exposure that was happening with running the ball. Like, you guys couldn't stop anybody from running the ball. You guys fixed that. You fine-tuned that a little bit this last game. And then, it's going to be a long season, how many weeks is Micah out?
So as of right now, he's going to try to come back after the bye week. So we have Detroit, then the bye week. So maybe 3 weeks from now.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with that.
I will say something about what you said, Mike, right? About not getting free agents, whatever. So obviously nobody here. Are you a Cowboy fan, Will? Or
No.
okay.
Sorry.
So I will say, no, it's all good. So those of you that don't know, right, and a lot of people complain, these Cowboy fans are like, oh, we're not getting anybody. So it's already been said that they have a spreadsheet that already tells them what they're going to do from now until 3 or 4 years from now. So it's already set in stone. All their money's already set out to the future. So that's why you're not going to see any of these top free agents getting, coming into Dallas. I'm just being honest with you. That's already been said. Brian Broaddus came out and talked to the guy and said, yeah, we have a spreadsheet that's already set in stone of all the players we're going to keep and play or pay. And unfortunately, it's not going to mean a lot of free agents splashes. So,
which is crazy when you have a need at running back though, and you bring in Zeke, which is cool. He's a 2-back, but he's not a 1-back.
It also costs us $2 million. And the other thing is, they already have a budget out. You got to think they got to pay Ferguson. Ferguson's coming up. They got to pay Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith is coming up, right? You also got to. And what do you think Bland's going to cost?
Yeah, and then you got Micah, right?
I'm not even talking about Micah.
Yeah, you're not.
We're talking about 4 players that we have to pay probably top money. So, and that's not counting some other players that are probably going to demand more money too. We're going to lose some of those, but the money's already spent. That's the issue. And if you're a real Cowboy fan, you would know that. They already said there's a spreadsheet already set up. We already got our money allocated. there's not going to be any big free agent splashes. Now, that could change from now until next year. I don't know, but it's already set in stone.
That's wild, man.
It's crazy.
You got any thoughts, Dupree, before we close it out?
I'm just the same with you guys. Like, I was already saying when we were watching the game for the Commanders that the Browns were not going to be the one to stop him. He's too calm and collective with the division as it is to keep going. And I still say, even with their schedule, their hardest game is the Ravens right off the back. But then they still get 2 weeks. They're got easy games, then they get a hard game, then they get 2 weeks out. Like, they have the easiest schedule out of anybody in the East. So it's easy way to still get to the playoffs. That's why I said they'll make the playoffs. It's not saying that I'm sold on him being like the rookie of the year when it comes to being quarterbacks, but he's got an easy way into the playoffs. What he'll do with the playoffs after that, we'll have to wait and see. With the Eagles, it's just been off and on this year with them. They're still trying to figure things out, and the people are still trying to figure out what they need to do as far as them. The Giants, they're the Giants. They haven't done anything since Eli's left, and they haven't done anything since anybody's left. So it's like they're just there, waiting to be good again, remembering the past. With the Cowboys, they may flop again because you never know. Because like last year was a flop, and it's like been these years of just like they'll get there, but then once they get there, it doesn't. It stops right there the first game or the second game, and it's just like, what happened? Like you'll get this great regular season, or they'll get through the gauntlet of their season, and then like, okay, we got through gauntlet, good, but now what?
Yeah. Yeah. I have one I just need you don't need no explanation. I just want an answer just real quick. Just popped into my head because there's been a battle going on right now, and after we've seen the Kansas City Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs.
No, you said it right. You said it right.
The Kansas City Chiefs win yesterday against Derek Carr and the Saints. Who do you guys got winning that division? Just pick somebody, just real quick.
What division?
The South.
The West?
The South.
Oh, the South?
NFC South.
I'm gonna say the Bucks.
You still got the Bucks?
The
Okay.
AFC
I still
South?
got that. No, the NFC South.
NFC South. Yeah, Bucks, Falcons, Saints. That's it. Just out of those three. We don't need the fourth one. Fourth one is not gonna do nothing.
You're wrong, Mike.
There's 4 teams in that division?
Well, we know they're not gonna do anything.
So who do you guys got real quick? So Mark, you said the Bucks. Javi, who do you got?
I got the Bucks.
I'm gonna go with the Atlanta Falcons, man.
Okay. Dupree?
I'm going with the Falcons too. Kurt is back on a tear, and the new receivers are with him with it. He's getting all he needs with the passes and everything. I'm going with Kurt. As long as he doesn't get hurt again, they're going.
Yeah, I got the Falcons too.
Mark, you're the lone wolf, Mark.
I'm always the lone wolf. I can sit there and I got no problem with that because every time that's why when I was picking games all the time, it's like, dang it, I'm one off. And if I'm one off, I'm one off. But I think Kirko Change is going to turn into Kirko Crutches again because something's going to happen.
Ah, come on. Don't do that to him. Don't do it to him.
And we'll get to see what Penix does. But okay, so real quick, give us the top 5 and we'll end this. Who's your top 5? We'll start with Dupree and then we'll go Javi.
Make it quick.
Make it quick, Dupree. Who do you got? Top 5.
I still got Seahawks, Commanders.
So you got Seahawks number 1, then you got Commanders number 2?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll put Commanders number 2. I'll go Lions 3, Falcons 4, and Chiefs 5. I hate the Chiefs. I never go like them. They're in my division. They're beating Herbert every time. I don't like, and they're cheating. So I can't put my
Yeah.
boys in really because they're not there yet. They're still showing, okay, we're looking decent. We look like we can compete, but I don't know if we are going to compete. We'll see.
All right. Let's go. Let's
Javi,
go,
who
Mark.
you got?
Let's go, Mark. No, let's go, Mark. We'll go, Javi.
All right.
Back to you.
All right. I got at God, man, that's tough. I think I got Baltimore at 5.
Okay.
Shoot, I'm trying to sit here and think. I'll say Bucks at 4. Actually, I'll put the Falcons at 4. I'll put the Bucks at 3.
Okay.
I'll say Chiefs at 2. I hate the Chiefs, and I don't think there's a number 1 team right now in the NFL.
Wow.
Not even the
I mean,
Vikings
'cause-
who are 5-0.
Who? They're in my
Just
division,
saying.
so no.
Okay.
No. if I had to put one, I would probably say the Vikings. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Who do you got, Javi?
So for me, it's the Chiefs because at the end of the day, look, they're undefeated, and in order, look, listen, in order to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. So as of right now, they're still the champ, man. At the end of the day, I don't care what anybody says, and they find ways to win. Number 2 for me would be the Vikings, just the way they're playing. That Brian Flores got that defense working. 3 for me would be the Texans. 4 for me would be the Detroit Lions. And 5 for me would be the Atlanta Falcons.
All right.
Cool. Cool. So I got Minnesota number 1, Kansas City Chiefs number 2. I got Houston at number 3. I got the Falcons number 4, and I got Baltimore number 5.
So we can all agree Dupre's got a crazy list.
Yes.
Hey, if it
Oh, wow,
wins, you ain't gonna say that though.
Yeah. Hey,
Oh,
Javi,
but-
thank you so much, man, for jumping on with us, man. It was super exciting to get you on. We need to get you on more. We talk all sports. We talk football, though, too, throughout the season. We'll see you hopefully in the next couple of weeks. I don't know what Jerry's schedule is. Maybe we can get Jerry on as well. We can do a little collab or whatever. But, yeah, man, super excited to have you on. It was fun. Thank you so much for jumping on. We appreciate you, man.
No, thank you guys. Thank you for having me on. As always, man, keep it real, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
All right, everybody. That was
all
it.
right,
That's a
y'all.
wrap. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for jumping on. Don't forget to like, share, comment at the Sports Lounge Media. Follow us everywhere. Go ahead and follow the Cowboy Cast as well with Javi, and you'll get everything that has to do with the Cowboys on the Cowboy Cast. And that's it. That's a wrap for us, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday at 7 p.m.